If you're wondering how Pasio Academy works, don't worry, I got you covered. Welcome back to another Pokemon Masters video, it's Brovini here. Pasio Academy is a new type of event. The outcome of doing this event allows us to get a new unit, but it's quite unique because we can build that unit in a specific way tailored to our needs. And it doesn't really cost you anything besides some stamina. And yes, if you actually go to the scout banners and pull on these two limited scout units, you can get more resources, more items during this event. But if you know what to do throughout the event, is it really necessary? I think even free-to-play players can do quite well with building a strong unit, a strong Rosa and Deerling. But when I say strong, it's kind of like Eggmons during their release. It more or less fills a niche rather than being a very meta and powerful unit. So the thing that's unique about an academy unit is in the sync grid. When you finish the academy, you'll end up with a permanent grid like this that you cannot change, you cannot modify this grid. You can modify it during the event, but not after your unit has graduated, has finished the academy. The only way to redo this grid is to go through the academy again, which it seems like you can do as many times as you want during the event time. After which, whatever grid you have finished on, that is what your sync pair will end up with permanently. You can only have one grid at a time. And if you're not sure which grid to keep after you complete this academy a second time, you will unlock a trial battle mode, which allows you to test the two different grids that you have, the previous one and the current one that you're about to graduate with, to decide which grid you want to keep. And if you didn't know already, each time you complete the academy, you get some gold tickets for that unit. I didn't know this, I had given all my gold tickets to my Rosa Deerling already during my first run through. But now that I've completed the academy twice, I've actually got 8 of these tickets lying around that I can't use. So if you haven't already, don't invest any of these gold tickets in Rosa, just get it for free from the event. Now, if this is your first time doing this event, just run it through the first time, don't worry too much, because you can actually do it again. And in fact, after going through it once, your unit will be a little stronger because of the gold tickets you get. And yes, while the game warns you when you take the midterms or the final exams, if you don't beat it, you can't go again, you actually can. You just have to go through the entire academy again and then start from the beginning to do it again. So if you happen to lose, don't worry too much, you just have to start from the start again. But I would recommend going for the most difficult, the highest difficulty every single time, so to get yourself the most rewards. Because that is the goal of doing this academy. Your goal isn't to finish the academy, your goal is to build the strongest unit. Which of course involves finishing the academy, but there's no point if you don't finish with the most materials that you can. And also, the very first time that you go through this stage, you'll actually get a tutorial which forces you to pick certain stages, which actually don't have as many rewards, as many materials as they should. From the second time onwards, you'll be able to choose all of the stages yourself to try and maximize the number of orbs and resources that you can get. So I do recommend running this event several times. Just doing it one time won't get you the best unit that you possibly can. So from the second time onwards, and this is actually my third time now, but from the second time onwards, before you begin clearing the academy again, what you really want to do is plan for your grid ahead of time. So go to Poma Tools, which is what you should have been using to play this game anyway, to plan out the grid that you want. Now this is just an example, but in this example, it tells me I need this many orbs of yellow, blue, and red. Now there's actually a green orb as well, which according to this grid, if this is what I'm aiming for, is not required. So then during the stages, I would avoid getting green orbs because that's my goal. I'm trying to build this grid. Now this is actually not a realistic grid. I was just testing out to see what I would need. But one thing to note is that blue orbs generally are standalone. Very rarely do they need some yellow orbs in order to unlock a grid node. By and large, blue orbs, you don't need to obtain it in a ratio. What I mean by that is, in contrary, a lot of yellow orbs, in fact pretty much all grids that have the need for yellow orbs, need a ratio of a certain number of another colored orb and itself. If you look at Rosa's grid, you can see that all of these nodes down the bottom, which are just base stat increase, they only need blue orbs. However, in a lot of other nodes that usually include technical skills or attacks or multipliers to attacks, they need 2 different orbs. For example, this node here requires green and yellow. Solar Flare needs 2 different types of orbs. So if you don't farm them in the right ratio, you might end up not being able to complete the grid that you want. As a general rule of thumb, yellow orbs are very important, but you can't use them without green or red orbs. Blue orbs are standalone except in rare situations, so you don't need to worry about blue orbs, just let them farm naturally. You do need to find the right ratio of red and yellow orbs or green and yellow orbs or all three. So first things first is to look at this grid to decide what type of build you want for dealing. And you won't be able to complete everything, so priorities is important. So once again, yellow orbs for technically more advanced stuff, including things like damage multipliers, or terrains, or weather, or circles. Red orbs are used for pretty much all the things that are in the upper part of the grid. The interesting thing to note is that you don't need to have a trainer move unlocked to go in this direction. All of the green directions require you to unlock a trainer move or a move. So in Deerling's case, if you go north all the way to the top, you'll be able to get grassy terrain and its extension. Deerling being a field unit, meaning when it uses a sync move also gives you grassy terrain, this top node is one to go for if you can. You can also try to go for a circle or circle extension for Unova defense. Circles being a bit more of a unique move because not a lot of units have circles at this stage. So I think this could be a useful niche filler when you plan for your future teams. Alternatively, if you like terrains, it's definitely a good idea to go the sunny day pathway as well. If you have a trainer orb, you can unlock one of the moves or a trainer move. So for example, you can unlock Sunny Day. And to utilize this move to its max potential, you'll want to unlock several more nodes or grids behind that move. So all of the nodes behind the move that you unlock are usually related to that move. As you can see, if you unlock all of these nodes, you'll get some increased speed, healing, more sync move damage, and extension of the Sunny Day. So following this track allows you to multiply the effects of whichever move you unlocked. Alternatively, you could choose an attack move or a trainer move. For trainer moves, you can have Deerling buff its own special attack and crit or attack and crit. Now, Deerling's sync move is special attack, so it makes a bit more sense to go the left side for special attack. But if you want to unlock Bullet Seed or Seed Bomb instead for it to do physical damage, then it also makes sense to go the right side pathway to buff its attack. But to me, in this day and age, I don't feel like this unit needs to buff itself. There are a lot of support units that can max attack and special attack anyway and crit, sometimes even in just one button, one trainer move. So why waste orbs unlocking all of these? In fact, my current Rosa unit only has 3 moves. And honestly, I think even this is a bit wasted. So I might be rebuilding this at a later point. So while you can go this right side pathway for more attack moves, more physical moves, the recommendation, just so that it makes sense and everything complements each other, is to go the left side for special attack up and have all the attacks as special attacks like Giga Drain. In other words, my recommendation, if you're looking for a niche filling unit rather than a self-sufficient attack unit, is to focus on this tree up here and this Sunny Day branch down the left. If you need it to self-buff, then go for the special attack. And if you really need an additional move, then you go for Giga Drain, just so it all complements each other. Unfortunately, as it is, Deerling is really weak. In a lot of top tier stages, it will probably die in one hit. And that is where blue orbs come in. You'll need to try and max out this bottom bit as much as you can, but without sacrificing much of the top and the left side for your utility either. Otherwise, I don't know why you'll bring Deerling into any battle if it can't even satisfy some niche. But while it's doing that, it needs to survive, so you need to give it some defense and HP. And that is where the blue orbs come in. To me, Rosa needs to have this type of grid as much as possible before anything else. So my goal is to achieve this ratio of red to yellow orbs. But I'll also need some additional yellow orbs if I want to go down this pathway in order to get the Sunny Day and its bonuses. Which means I'll also need to farm some additional green and blue orbs. You can almost never have too much blue orbs, but it's not a priority. The priority in you selecting stages is to get the right ratio of these orbs besides blue. Now, in terms of selecting stages, be on the lookout for these story modes because besides the exams, these give you the most orbs. So in this stage, for example, you get a total of 420 orbs. And if they happen to be orbs that you need, and I said before I need some blue and some yellow, green is kind of optional, it's not priority, then it's definitely a stage to go for. Now, I did lie a little bit there because 420 isn't the highest I've seen. The highest I've seen is 450 orbs, and it comes from these question mark stages. If you choose one of these question mark stages, you get to talk to one of these units and they'll give you orbs as well. And at first it might seem random, but from my own testing and checks, it seems like the orbs are actually set. If you were to pick Raihan, you would get blue orbs. If you were to pick Nanu, you would get red orbs. 150 is actually the most common number I've seen. I'm actually compiling a list of all the orbs and the numbers for each of those units in those question mark stages. And yes, you can also get yellow orbs. Sycamore and Sonia give yellow orbs. That will help you decide which stage to choose. Generally speaking, the units that are named, so not the generic characters like Ace Trainer or whatever, actual named units like these guys down here or these guys up here, they generally give you more orbs. But I don't find that in terms of numerical value that they give you more than the question mark stages and definitely less than the story mode stages. Now, occasionally the game will highlight certain units for you. For example, in this stage, Professor Kukui has a trainer orb, which is the dark one here, because the game wants to recommend that you choose that stage. But I beg to differ. I don't like trainer orbs because you're guaranteed one in the midterms. So if I only need Sunny Day, why would I go for a trainer orb, which generally speaking means I get less of other orbs? Take this for example, Academy Ray gives me 120 orbs, whereas Professor Kukui only gives me 90 and it's the green orb that I don't need as much of. So since I don't really need a trainer orb, I can skip this and choose something else. And in my run through, what I've actually noticed is if you skip it, it will come back the next time with a different orb next to it. So this one will actually change. So if you're after red or blue orbs, you could wait until that's changed before going for the stage. And look how few orbs you get from these generic trainers. So pretty much never go for these ones. Now, after going through the stages, as you get to the midterms, what you want to do is make sure you've upgraded your current in training grid. You can actually change this before you graduate from the academy. So then you would leave with a different set, but for now you want to put some orbs in so that you can take down the most difficult stage. I found the most difficult stage can be beat at midterms without a trainer orb, and then you get one here that you can use for the finals. Alright, why don't we actually go through and do a run through of the academy? This is going to be my third run. First thing is to make sure I didn't miss anything, I'm going to click into each of these and see how many orbs they offer. But the main focus will be the named trainers, so this one, and this one. But right now there's no special stage, so there's nothing really to worry about, just go for the most orbs you can and the one that gives you what you need. Poker Kid, 30 orbs is not what I'm after. Ace Trainer, again 30 orbs, very weak. 90 orbs here, yellow and green, that's not too bad, but I'm looking for red and yellow. Definitely not Youngster. Elaine gives 60 orbs, but it's not really what I'm after. I think the one I'm after is within one of these three. Serena, 60 red orbs, that's good. Triple Trouble gives me yellow and blue, which I will need. Green, I do need a little bit. So this is not a bad stage, but I'm really after red. Lacey 4 is what I'm going for. Red, green, yellow, I can use all of that. So I'm going to start my battle. Note that the battle will consume stamina. Now, if you've got the event units, use them because they'll give you more multipliers, more orbs. I don't, so I'll just be using these three. The battles themselves are pretty straightforward, just bring something that can do a lot of damage in a support unit just so you can avoid dying. Now, Rosa's not going to be doing very much, so you're really relying on your other units, your side units, in order to defeat this stage. You will notice that the stages with more orbs, the more desirable stages, are generally a little more difficult than the ones that have very few orbs, the generic trainer ones. The generic trainer ones are like easy mode, you'll beat them in like 3 moves. But these other stages with more orbs, it might take a little bit more effort to beat. So if you're a new player, it can be a little difficult. But for veterans, you shouldn't have any drama completing any of the stages as you choose. Now with the multiplier, with 1.7 times, I get 68 of each of the 3 orbs. And we want to maximize how much we get each stage. As you can see, we only get a total of 12 rounds including the final exam to get the materials. The final exam actually gives a lot of materials as well. So in your planning, consider how much you get from the finals and the midterms. Midterms gives you 450 yellow orb and a trainer orb. Finals will give you 300 of each of the 3 different other colors. Okay, so this is the second round and you can see that there's a trainer orb now, but as I said, I'm not really after green orbs, so I'm not really going to go for Kukui here, unless there's really nothing else to pick from. So let's take a look. Alder's lesson is not bad. I get 120 in total with some of the ones that I need. Ray is decent as well, but I'm trying to minimize the green orbs. And so for this stage, I don't think I'll be going for the trainer move. I'll be choosing Alder as my opponent to get these 120 orbs. And so this is the stage complete. And once again, 68 of 3 orbs. So now I'm seeing red orb with Kukui, which would be good if it also gives me the most number of red orbs. Then I don't mind having a trainer move at all. And it does give me 90 red orbs. But what should have caught your attention is Lily here with the question mark. Let's take a look at what Lily has to offer. It says, question mark, we're not really sure what we're going to get, or do we? Now, from my previous runs, I've noticed that Lily seems to always give 150 red orbs, which is more than Kukui's stage. Yes, I forgo the trainer orb, but it would be worth it for me. Now, in some of these stages, you might actually have several choices. So for example, I got Adam in here who would actually give blue orbs. I haven't tried out what she gives yet, or Bugsy, but I do know that Lily gives 150 red orbs. So let's give it a go. Hopefully I'm right. And I got 400 red orbs, which is outside of what I expected actually. That I'm not sure why. I was expecting 150. Maybe it's RNG or maybe it's related to the stage number. That's something that still needs to be investigated. If you know, let me know in the comments section below. But I'm very happy with the 400 orbs. You'll also notice that the multipliers don't apply to this type of stage. The multipliers only affect the battle stages, so you have to incorporate that into your calculations. The trainer orb didn't come back, but I see red. Let's see what red gives us. 150 yellow orbs with multiplier 1.7 times, that's quite a respectable amount. I think I might go for that one. Let's just double check everything else. Norman gives 45 of 2 different orbs. Eri gives 60 green, which is not what I'm after, and then this generic trainer gives 30. So I think red is the way to go for this stage. As usual, red doesn't have much to say. I probably could have upgraded Rosa and Deerling before I entered this stage just to speed things up, but I'm pretty confident in my usual units, so I shouldn't have any trouble beating this stage at all anyway. Although that's a different story when we get to the midterms exams, because only Rosa will appear there. You cannot use any other unit, it's already set. Yep, as I thought, no problems at all. In that stage, I got 255 yellow orbs, which is quite a respectable amount. And now one more stage before the midterms, and we see the return of Kukui, but I'm most curious about the question mark. Kukui gives 90 red orbs, but I think I'll go for this one. Who should I pick? I don't actually have a clue what all of these trainers will give me. I hope the red unit will give me red orbs. Nice, 400 red orbs. This is a pretty good run so far, more than I had expected. I usually only see 150 orbs. Alright, on to the midterms exam. Before doing the exam, it's a good idea to upgrade your Rosa as much as possible. It's good to upgrade your usual Rosa stats, so that includes a lucky skill, so give it something like critical strike if you plan to have lots of crits, or vigilance if you wanted to survive longer. Increasing potential, well, that's up to you. You can just max her out at the start, or you can wait for the free tickets that you get from completing the academy. And of course you can give her an EX roll cake as well if you wish. But most importantly, do some gridding. Actually give her a grid. Now, I've noticed that just using recommended has generally been okay. It's generally given me decent stats, and I've never had an issue beating the most difficult stage just using recommended. But to be fair, you should be building your own grid to guarantee the win. If you happen to lose, don't worry, you can just finish the whole academy and start again. Now at this point you can exit out of the grid and see how many orbs of each you have left. If you're not liking the recommended grid, of course you can undo the grid And let's say I prefer grassy terrain, then I put it up here. And I don't think I'm going to get paralyzed from this stage, and I don't think I'm going to get confused from this stage. I can remove these as well, and then put it into something else instead. So I think that's pretty good. I think I'll beat the midterms with this. So let's give it a go. As I said, the midterms have a set unit, and you'll also get the 1.5 times multiplier in doing this stage. Notice that I'm consuming stamina to do these stages. And it can take actually quite a bit of stamina, so make sure you've got enough stamina saved for the academy. Now with all the yellow grid nodes that I gave to Deerling, it's actually doing a lot of debuffing. Every hit reduces the opponent's special defense by 2. So as you can see, even without a trainer move, my attacks are exponentially getting stronger. I don't even have special attack or crit up, but I do have grassy terrain and gradual healing in order to keep Deerling alive. Now it won't last long, but thankfully I do have EX unlocked so that I can get the grassy terrain again with its sync move. And because of the grassy terrain extension, I have no problems staying alive at all, and I'm getting some evasion up just from the sync grid. Now if you didn't do any of the grids, you may have trouble at this point with the most difficult stages. And again, if you make a mistake with the grid at this point, it doesn't matter because you can reset it. So as you can see, pretty straightforward, not too difficult. And in this stage, I will get a trainer orb, which I can use for the finals if I need to buff my special attack and crit. Alright, now, story mode has appeared. Now definitely go for a story mode, especially when it gives you the items that you need. Even though the question marks can sometimes give you more orbs, they are a risk and you don't really know which one you'll get. Once again, I'm going to ignore the trainer orb there because, well, blue orbs are not a priority and I don't need another move or trainer move. Now, I do know that Nanu also gives red orbs, but I think a 300 guarantee is a safer option. And so that's what I'm going for. Once again, no multipliers for this. Oh, back-to-back story mode. Let's check out this one. I get yellow, green, and blue. That's quite a lot. A total of 420 orbs. So that's the one I'm gonna go for. And the great thing about these is it doesn't cost any stamina either. Next, I'm most curious about Hal. And from my data collection, Hal gave red orbs, but I forgot how much it gave last time. Now at this stage, I'm going to reset all my orbs on Rosa because I need to see how far off from my ideal number I am. In terms of red and yellow, I'm getting pretty close, and I know I'll get 300 red at the end with the final exams, so I can slow down on the red and start focusing on green and blue, which by the way I already have some of. So I guess it doesn't hurt to keep going, although I wouldn't mind more blue orbs at this stage because remember, you can get as much blue orbs as you want, you won't be able to fill the blue orb grid anyway. So instead of Hal, let's try Whitney. I got blue, that's fine, I can use blue. At this stage, I don't mind having a bit of everything. 300 orbs is a great amount anyway. Now, at this stage, I would like a bit more yellow orbs. I just noticed I'm actually a little short on yellow orbs. So I'm hoping one of these guys can give me yellow orbs. I know the professors generally give yellow orbs. Oh no, I only have End. Let's see what End gives. I don't know if this choice matters. And I got green orbs. Of course, it's got green hair. And only 150 at that. This is the last round before... Oh no, I see N again. I'm gonna be short on yellow orbs, so I might have to restart the whole academy. Yeah. It's not looking too good. Let's see if I can find a stage that gives a bit more yellow. I think I'm gonna have to go with Ortega and get those 60 orbs with multiplier. If I had more multiplier, I might have made it. So that was my mistake. I miscounted my yellow orbs. I should have been more careful, but no matter, I can be back tomorrow to try again. All right, and on to the finals. 102 orbs at the end. I don't think that's enough. I think I'm just short by about 20. Now in the finals, you do want to have a proper grid set up. And again, maybe you can start with recommended and see what it suggests for you. I'm not a big fan of needing the crit up branch, so I want to take that away. I think specifically for this final stage, you can use the trainer move. Yeah, so something like that should work. You can also go for Giga Drain as well alternatively, but I only have one trainer move available. And hopefully at this point you actually sit on an excess of yellow orbs because by the end of the final exam, you get some additional green, blue, and red. So the final exam will give you 300 of each orb because Rosa gives you the multiplier. The stage itself will say only 200 because 1.5 times 200 is 300. All right, let's see how Rosa goes against This wish cache. So just gonna use energy ball the whole time. Now I'm not sure why I put in the universe circle multiplier when I didn't even set up universe circle, because that's not a move. That's in a grid that I didn't unlock. So that's a bit silly. Regardless, I think we'll be fine. And here comes the sync move, which will give me grassy terrain back. And there it is. Stage is complete, so pretty straightforward, especially if you properly grid your character. And here we go, 300 of each orb. So this is when you'll graduate, but before you graduate, go back to upgrading your sync grid, because this is what you'll leave the academy with, whatever you choose at this point to finish on. So you can see I got most of the top bit done. I'm going to reset this trainer move and make it more of a tech unit with Sunny Day. And I can do it this way, but you can actually skip some of the green orb nodes by doing this if you're short on green orbs to get, like, let's say this last one here, I'm actually short on yellow. Now I can remove this sync move one as well to get some yellow orbs back to get this last one, but I don't think that's essential. Now you'll notice that I have an excess of green orbs at this stage. Have a look at how many green orbs I have because I lack trainer moves. So avoiding green orb and getting others is the way to go if you're trying to minimize the number of trainer moves. And I can't actually unlock another trainer move because I didn't get the trainer orb. I'm not recommending that everyone does it this way, but if you're short on material and you don't have those banner units to get you more materials, then this might be the only way to go to try and minimize certain orbs to get other orbs. Now I still have unused blue orbs, so I'm just going to use recommend to finish off the rest of the grid. So I'd say we got pretty close to my ideal build. I did miss out on some yellow orbs that would have helped me finish off this last little bit here, and I didn't quite get enough red orbs to finish off these top bits as well. Oh, and I forgot I don't actually need these two. That actually opens up a bit more for me. So yeah, I think we got pretty close to what I wanted, but not quite there. Might have to rerun this one more time to get it perfect, or maybe I have to pull one of the banner units in order to get those last orbs. Thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully this has helped you do your academy. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe.